Good evening. I am Tony Dattino, and I am the founder of the USA Memory Championship. And this is my Monday evening Live with Tony broadcast at 7 o'clock. And I do a broadcast on Monday and Wednesday at 7, Tuesday and Thursday at 3, and on Saturdays at 3. And the videos are recorded and saved, so if you miss out or I change my time period, just go look for the day's video and you'll have my Live with Tony. I am the founder of the Memory Championship. We had a good conference on Friday with Velocity, and we've got some things that should be coming out over the next week or so on what we would like to do in 2020 as it relates to mental athletes in a memory competition. So stay tuned for that. But what I wanted to cover this evening, as I said, Friday I pick up, Saturday evening I go to the P.O. box and pick up my mail, and do lots of reading on Sunday, and did some this morning sitting at our pool. That actually the kids are back to school, so I had 2 hours at the pool. And I wanted to report on a survey that is done on employee burnout, and that's the diagnosis. This is reported in the Orlando Business Journal, and in the Orlando Business Journal of August the 7th. So this is the current reporting of the impact that COVID is having, and I've been talking about that on broadcast, and I also want to talk about what stress has to do with your memory and how it has to do with what you may be focused on, or something you may be wanting to retain, or somebody who might be talking to you and whether or not you're comprehending what they're saying. Somebody's asking you to do something, and whether or not you clearly understood what they just said to you and you do the right thing. And I just can't tell you, as magicians have learned, right, and as they call illusions of magicians, how they can just get your brain to focus on one thing and off they go and doing something else. So I want to just bounce some of these numbers out to you, but I really would like to get some of your thoughts and bounce out the questions here. What percentage of respondents do you think they're feeling burned out, meaning in their work, their family, they're just kind of exhausted and burnt out? And this is a bit alarming. So what percentage in this survey of 1,000 people do you think are saying that they're burned out? And the answer is, per survey of 1,000 people, 45%. And that's a significant number, because that says there's 45% of people in this survey that they did. Now let's see if I can tell you where this survey done. Survey of workers. So these are employees working in companies, and the ones that are still working are just being pushed to an extreme, and they're being faced with circumstances that they've never had to deal with before. And I know I've talked to a number of finance executives that are faced with financial reports and trying to support and figure out what do we do, and how do we survive, and how do we keep this thing going. What percentage of people do you think are using it? And so if half of the people at work are burnt out, what percentage of them are reaching out and seeking help? And so on one side it's 45% of people that are burnt out. Now comes, what percentage of those 1,000 are seeking from some level of help from their employees? And it is disappointing to see that only 20% receive any kind of mental or physical health assistance, though there's many companies that have employee assistance programs. And that always takes me back to a seminar I was at where just a number of people just weren't asking for help. And I encourage people, I encourage my own grandkids, learn to talk to mom, dad. What are the things that are creating stress and anxiety in terms of your school or your work or what you think is happening? And let's see if we get mom and dad to at least talk to you and learn more about what's going on. In this particular article, they talk about employee burnout. Employee burnout. I would love to, as I had a CEO once say to me, Tony, I'm a people too. And I kind of looked at him like, so what do you mean you're a people too? And he's like, Tony, I report to a board of directors and a board of trustees. So as much as a lot of this burden I feel falls upon myself, I am a people too. And so I became his coach and mentor, and that was part of my engagement in work. It wasn't a matter of running up my tab and my fees. It was a matter of recognizing managers and supervisors in these companies are people too. So who's helping people? Because what we know when it comes to memory and focus and our ability to comprehend conversations, as soon as we're in a emotional state, where we get this level of tension and we get this level of intensity, our brain's logic system starts to short circuit. We call that the interruption of potentiation. What it means is we start to short circuit our logical brain. And this is what I always say to people, be careful if you are short circuiting your logical thinking, because you may be doing something that you will regret later and you won't be able to pull it back. And so I'm surprised at the number of people that are not seeking out help. Let me throw another one out. What percentage of people do you think now feel positive about their careers? And again, this is an interesting question to put out to people, because, boy, I've got a job and I'm working. Now, what percentage of people do you think now feel positive about their careers and where they're going and what they're doing? And that's got a relatively low number. That is being reported by these people at 36%. 36% feel positive about their careers. And then the last one that I found in this survey that was a bit alarming: what percentage of people do you feel that were connected? They felt connectedness to their peers and their colleagues in the work environment. So we call that teamwork. What percentage of people do you think feel connected to their colleagues? And the disappointing number on that one, it's only 50%. 50%. And so we've got issues with, my goodness, I'm depressed or I'm stressed. Only 20% of us are going to go out and get some help. 36% of us feel positive, and we don't feel like we've got colleagues that are connected to us. Now, you add all of that into an article, and I'm going to be covering with you tomorrow. I'm not going to be doing this today. An article I just read out of Time Magazine. So there's this really good section in Time Magazine, current issue, about sleep and what are we doing with sleep and how is that impacting our ability to learn and retain and what really goes on at sleep. And so you connect all these pieces, and what we're realizing, and you've got to realize and be mindful in your own life, is what are some of the things that you can do in your own life that begin to bring some stability in it. And the first thing, and I'm very conscious of this in my own life, and in my own relationship with the love of my life, and that is, I always say, we've got to maintain a routine. And not every day has to be routine, like by hour or whatever, but every morning we get up and I'm either running or I'm doing some weightlifting, minor weightlifting. I'm not going to be an Adonis or somebody that's Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I'm doing weightlifting 3 days a week, and I'm running 4 days a week. 30 minutes, boom. That's my morning routine. Now that the kids are going back to school, after I'm done running, I go take a quick shower off, get the sweat off me, and go to the pool. And I'm in the pool doing a couple of laps of swimming, and just, again, exercising and doing whatever. And then I might sit down, as I did this morning, and read the magazines that I want to cover in tonight's presentation that I want to do. But routines are important. Routines are important. What meals are you going to have? What are your foods that you're going to have? Who might you reach out and talk to? Who might you lean out and help? We have a senior friend in an assisted living, and we once a week, maybe twice a week sometimes, let's just give Daisy a phone call and let's see how she's doing and give her somebody to talk to, because she's in an assisted living where they're not letting visitors in, and she's been going through this for 5 months. we're at least able to get out and run around the street and hop in the car and pick up our groceries as they throw them in the trunk. We had some errands today, and we open the trunk and they just throw them in. But at least we're in a parking lot. We're looking at people. We're seeing who's got a mask and who does not have a mask on. And by the way, that will be another article I cover this week on what's the right protocols for wearing a mask. So I had a good weekend of reading, but this stress article has got more that I'll cover again tomorrow. But I want to just close this off with Heart of Florida's United Way. So the United Way. What percentage of increase do you think they've got in terms of phone calls? This is like mind-boggling, but I've said this would happen because it's uncertainty. People have blanks. People make up stories when they have blanks. Their intensity impacts their focus and their logic. It impacts their ability to learn. It impacts the kids now going back to school, stressed about who's sitting around them, and yet they've got to learn. So and then yet we find Zooming for kids after hour, we Zoom out. So how do we help kids learn at an age that is important for their own brain health? But in any case, from the Heart of Florida's United Way, they have reported that there are now 4 times the number of calls that they are fielding on a regular basis. And they are now up to 8,000 calls a week, 8,000 calls per week in July. Routine, habits, friends, social interaction, all of the things that we talk about in our Maximum Memory Mastery online course. What do you do for brain health? Get your sleep. We'll talk about that this week. Social interactions, how are you dealing with that? Maintain some level of mental challenges. So what are you doing to keep your brain feeling like you're growing and you're doing something to build? Even if they're little bits and little bite-sized pieces. What are you doing in terms of physical exercise? How are you doing? Let me just see, Mr. Tony, perfect timing, always acceptable and grateful for your live sessions. Oh, it's always great to have people send me comments. I appreciate that. And that is Kadori Naz. Welcome to be on the broadcast. And it's always great that you can join me on these live and send me notes because it helps me even focus a little bit better. So what are we doing to manage our stress? This is what tonight's broadcast was all about. What are we doing to manage our stress? What are we finding in our days that can have some positivity to it? And do we just need to, I read a sports column. I get the Sunday New York Post, and I read a sports column. I'm excited that Major League Baseball, I'm watching Major League Baseball, and I'm watching professional golf. I look forward to the weekends because the golf is on, the Yankees have been on, though they didn't do too well in Tampa this weekend. And this writer is just talking about, oh, gee, they're doing Major League Baseball, and this forecast, and this can happen, and this is not going to be legitimate, and the playoff games. And I'm like, can you not find something good about the fact that they're working out there, and these men and women are traveling about, announcing games, playing games. People are there to take care of clubhouses. My goodness, this is a positive thing. And watching sports on television, watching the golf tournament from San Francisco, looking at the San Francisco skyline, the clouds and things. It just gives you a different perspective, helping to lift you out with some level of positivity. Just give yourself an hour a break, 1 hour a day. Find yourself some space and just clear out your thinking. That is my broadcast for this evening. I could go on with this. This is obviously, you can tell, I'm impassioned by this. There's so much more we can do. We don't know when this is going to end. It's uncertainty to us. But my goodness, deal with that and accept that. If anybody thinks they can end that and they've got to terminate, boy, there's a Nobel Prize for you on this one. So just accept that and don't tense yourself up over it and deal with some of the stresses you've got. And I'll pick up more of this tomorrow. I'll put some more statistics out to you in tomorrow's broadcast. If all goes well, it'll be in the 3 to 3:30 time period tomorrow afternoon. So until then, have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.